Ladies, let's talk about power. Not the kind that forces or manipulates, but the kind that effortlessly pulls men in, making them crave your presence, your validation, and your love. You see, men love to believe they're in control, strong, independent, untouchable. But the reality is that every man, no matter how tough or confident, has weaknesses. And when you understand those weaknesses, you can subtly and irresistibly guide his emotions, his attention, and even his loyalty without him even realizing it. But here's where most women go wrong. Society teaches us that to keep a man, we must please him, chase him, and prove our worth. Wrong. So wrong. This outdated mindset actually pushes men away, making them take you for granted instead of cherishing you. The real key is understanding the psychology of men, so you never have to fight for love again. It will just flow naturally toward you. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 9 biggest male weaknesses, the ones that, when used correctly, will make any man feel magnetically drawn to you. These aren't cheap tricks or manipulative games. These are deep, primal, and psychological truths about how men work. And once you master them, you'll see a shift in how men treat you, respect you, and even chase you. So, tell me, have you ever felt like you gave too much only to get so little in return? Have you ever wondered why some women make men obsessed while others get ghosted? If so, keep watching, because today you're about to unlock a game-changing secret that will transform the way you approach men forever. And trust me, number 7 is the most powerful one, so don't even think about leaving early. 1. The need to feel like a hero. Have you ever noticed how a man's entire demeanor changes when he feels like he's solving a problem for you? It could be something as simple as carrying a heavy bag, giving you directions, or even offering his opinion on something. His chest lifts, his eyes brighten, and he suddenly seems more confident. This reaction isn't random. It's deeply rooted in his psychology. Men are wired to seek purpose in relationships, to feel like they have a role to play in your life. When you understand this, you unlock a hidden door into his emotions that most women overlook. The modern woman has been told to be independent, strong, and self-sufficient, which is absolutely beautiful. But here's the paradox. The more a man feels unneeded, the less emotionally connected he becomes. This doesn't mean you should play dumb or pretend to be helpless. Far from it. It means understanding that men crave a sense of importance in their partner's life. They don't just want to be liked. They want to feel valued, relied upon, and significant. A man who doesn't feel needed eventually drifts, even if he's deeply attracted to you at first. That's why some women, no matter how stunning they are, struggle to keep a man interested, while others seem to have men wrapped around their fingers effortlessly. Imagine 2 different scenarios. In the first, a woman insists on doing everything herself. She never asks for help, never leans on her man for anything, and never acknowledges his contributions. While she may be impressive, the man in her life doesn't feel like he plays any role of significance. He admires her strength, but doesn't feel emotionally essential to her. Now, in the second scenario, another woman is also strong and independent, but she allows her man to step in at times. She asks for his advice, lets him help when it's natural, and most importantly, acknowledges his contributions with appreciation. Which of these women do you think he will feel more emotionally connected to? The answer is clear. The reason this works is simple. Men fall in love when they feel like they're making a difference in your life. If he doesn't feel like he's adding something valuable to your world, his interest will eventually wane. This is why some men stay deeply devoted to a woman while losing interest in another who seems equally attractive on the surface. The difference isn't in looks, personality, or intelligence. It's in how he feels around her. Now let's take this deeper. Have you ever been in a situation where a man seemed interested at first, but then slowly pulled away? You might have thought everything was going great, yet something shifted. Often this happens when a man stops feeling like he has a purpose in the relationship. Without this feeling, his emotional investment starts to fade. On the flip side, when a man feels like he's needed in the right way, he becomes deeply committed without even understanding why. So, how do you apply this without being manipulative or losing your own sense of strength? It's all about balance and authenticity. Start by recognizing the moments where you can naturally let him step in. Maybe you ask his opinion on something you genuinely care about. Maybe you let him help with something small, even if you could technically do it yourself. And most importantly, when he does something for you, acknowledge it. A simple, "I really appreciate that," or "that actually helped a lot," triggers a deep psychological response in him. The biggest mistake women make is either overplaying this, acting overly dependent, which feels forced, or completely ignoring it, trying to prove they don't need a man for anything. The sweet spot is allowing a man to be a man in a way that makes him feel valued, while still being your strong, independent self. It's not about tricking him into anything. It's about understanding how his emotions work and allowing a connection to form naturally. Now you might be wondering, what if I don't need a man's help? The answer is simple. You don't have to need it. You just have to allow it. Men don't only want to be helpful in practical ways. They want to feel like their presence in your life makes it better. Maybe that's emotional support, guidance, or just being someone you turn to when you're overwhelmed. The key is creating a dynamic where he feels like your personal hero, even in the smallest ways. This concept isn't new. Throughout history, men have been wired to seek a mission, whether it's protecting their tribe, providing for their family, or simply making the woman they love happy. It's deeply ingrained in male psychology, and when you tap into it, you unlock a level of devotion and connection that is almost impossible to break. But here's something most women don't realize. The moment a man feels like he's no longer needed, he starts emotionally detaching. This is why men suddenly lose interest, even when everything seems fine on the surface. The attraction might still be there, but the emotional depth starts to fade because he doesn't feel like he's serving a purpose in your life anymore. Now imagine what happens when you do understand this. Imagine creating a dynamic where a man not only loves you, but feels deeply tied to you, because being with you makes him feel more like a man. That's the power of this principle. So how can you put this into action immediately? Start small. The next time a man does something for you, instead of brushing it off or saying, "I could have done it myself," try something different. Look him in the eye, smile, and say, "That actually helped a lot. Thank you." Watch how he reacts. Watch how his body language shifts and how his energy changes. When a man feels like your hero, he starts seeing you as irreplaceable. And here's the real beauty of this. The more you activate this instinct in him, the more he naturally wants to step up for you. He starts making more effort, investing in the relationship, and feeling emotionally connected without even understanding why. Because deep down, he doesn't just want to be with you. He wants to feel essential to you. This is just the beginning. Now that you know how to make a man feel like a hero, the next step is understanding how to keep him constantly intrigued. And that's where the power of mystery comes in. You don't want to miss this next one. 2. The power of mystery. Have you ever wondered why some women can make a man obsessed, constantly chasing them, thinking about them even when they're not around, while others struggle to hold a man's attention for more than a few weeks? The secret is mystery. And no, I'm not talking about playing childish games or acting distant for no reason. I'm talking about the kind of mystery that creates intrigue, keeps a man guessing, and makes him crave more of you. Here's the truth. Men are wired to chase what they can't fully have. When a man feels like he's completely figured you out, the excitement starts to fade. But when there's something unpredictable about you, something he can't quite grasp, he can't help but stay hooked. Think about the last time you were truly captivated by someone. It wasn't because they gave you everything at once, was it? It was because they left you wanting more. That's exactly how male psychology works when it comes to attraction. A woman who is too available, too predictable, and too easy to read may seem appealing at first, but over time, the excitement wears off. But a woman who has an air of mystery, who surprises him, keeps him curious and doesn't reveal everything right away, that's the kind of woman who stays on his mind day and night. One of the biggest mistakes women make is oversharing too soon. I get it. You meet a guy, the chemistry is great, and suddenly you find yourself spilling everything about your life, your past, your feelings, your dreams. You think that by being completely open, you're building a deep connection. But what's really happening? You're removing all the layers of mystery that make you intriguing. Instead of discovering you over time, he feels like he already knows everything. And just like that, the excitement disappears. Now, I'm not saying you should be cold or distant. That's not mystery. That's just pushing a man away. Instead, think of yourself as a book he's dying to read, but he only gets to turn one page at a time. When you reveal things gradually, when you leave certain things unsaid, when you allow him to wonder about you, he can't help but keep coming back for more. Another way to create mystery: be unpredictable. Men are naturally drawn to excitement and novelty, and when you bring a sense of unpredictability into the relationship, you keep his attention locked on you. This doesn't mean being inconsistent or unreliable. It means surprising him in small ways. Maybe you switch up your routine, introduce him to new experiences, or keep him guessing about what you'll do next. A woman who is full of surprises keeps a man on his toes, and trust me, nothing is more addictive than that. But here's where most women go wrong. They think mystery means playing hard to get in an obvious way, deliberately ignoring texts, pretending to be busier than they are, or acting uninterested. That's not mystery. That's just frustrating. Real mystery comes from being genuinely engaged in your own life. When you're busy with your passions, your goals, your own adventures, a man naturally starts wondering about you. He starts missing you. He starts craving your attention because he sees that you're a woman with a life that doesn't revolve around him. And let's talk about energy, because mystery isn't just about what you say or don't say. It's about how you carry yourself. A woman with an air of mystery doesn't just give everything away emotionally. She knows how to hold back just enough to keep a man intrigued. She lets her presence speak louder than her words. She's confident in silence, in eye contact, and in the way she makes a man feel, without over-explaining herself. When you master this, you become magnetic without even trying. Now let's put this into action. The next time you're with a man you're interested in, resist the urge to over-explain. Instead of telling him every little detail, say something like, "It was interesting, I'll tell you about it later." Watch how he leans in, wanting to know more. Watch how his curiosity spikes. Because when a man has questions about you, when he feels like he's still figuring you out, he can't help but stay invested. And let's not forget, the more mystery you have, the more a man starts creating stories about you in his head. His imagination takes over, and trust me, no reality is ever as exciting as what a man envisions in his mind. When he starts thinking about you when you're not around, you've already won. So, let's test something. If you're loving this so far, I want you to like this video and comment number 1 down below. If you agree that mystery is one of the most powerful tools in attraction. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, because trust me, what's coming next is even more powerful. Now, if mystery is what makes a man obsessed, the next secret is what makes him emotionally attached. It has everything to do with physical touch and sensory triggers. Get ready, because this one is a game changer. 3. Physical touch and sensory triggers. Have you ever noticed how a simple touch can shift the entire dynamic between two people? A light brush of the fingertips, the warmth of a hand on your back, or even the accidental meeting of knees under a table. It's subtle, almost imperceptible, but it creates an unspoken connection. Men, whether they admit it or not, are incredibly responsive to physical touch. It awakens something deep within them, something instinctive. Unlike women, who often rely more on emotional connection through words, men experience deep emotional bonding through physical and sensory experiences. The best part, you don't have to be overly forward or obvious about it. Just the right kind of strategic touch can create a lasting impression in his mind. There's a reason why touch is one of the 5 love languages, and for many men, it's their primary one. It reassures, excites, and triggers attraction on a subconscious level. When you touch a man in the right way, his body immediately reacts, even if his mind isn't fully aware of it. It creates a chemical response, releasing oxytocin, the bonding hormone that makes him feel closer to you, more comfortable around you, and most importantly, more emotionally invested in you. The key is subtlety. If a touch feels forced or unnatural, it loses its power. The secret is to make it feel effortless, like it was meant to happen. A gentle touch on his arm when you're laughing, a soft press on his shoulder when you pass by, or even the way your legs rest close to his when sitting together. These small, almost unnoticed touches build tension and connection over time. Men don't always articulate their emotions in words, but their bodies feel the difference when they're around a woman who understands how to use touch to her advantage. Beyond touch, other sensory triggers play a massive role in attraction. Have you ever noticed how a certain scent can immediately bring back memories of a specific person? That's because smell is directly linked to memory and emotion. Choosing a signature scent, something unique yet subtle, can make you unforgettable in a man's mind. The next time he catches a hint of that scent, even when you're not around, you'll instantly come to mind. It's not just about smelling good. It's about creating an association in his brain that ties you to warmth, comfort, and desire. Then there's eye contact. This is one of the most powerful sensory tools a woman can use. The way you look at a man, even for just a moment longer than expected, can create an entire emotional experience. When you hold eye contact, not in a confrontational way, but in a way that feels intentional and confident, it triggers a response in his brain that makes him feel drawn to you, intrigued by you, and even slightly off balance in the best way possible. A well-placed glance, paired with a soft smile, can speak volumes without a single word. Even the way you use your voice can have a profound impact. Have you ever heard a woman speak in a way that made you feel completely captivated, even if she wasn't saying anything particularly important? That's because it's not just what you say, but how you say it. The tone, the pauses, the rhythm. These things create emotional weight behind your words. A soft, slightly slowed down tone makes a conversation feel more intimate, drawing him in closer, making him hang on to your words longer. It's no coincidence that women who understand this skill often have a certain magnetic presence, one that makes men feel deeply connected without even understanding why. Physical attraction isn't just about appearance. It's about how you engage the senses. When a man feels your presence through touch, scent, eye contact, and even the rhythm of your voice, it leaves a much deeper impression than anything you could say. This is why some women can enter a room and immediately capture attention, while others, no matter how physically beautiful, seem to fade into the background. It's about the energy you bring, the way you make a man feel on a sensory level. So, imagine what happens when you combine all of these elements: strategic touch, a memorable scent, lingering eye contact, and a captivating voice. You don't just become another woman in his life. You become an experience, a memory, a feeling he can't quite shake. Every time he thinks about you, his mind will recall those small, seemingly insignificant moments. The way your hand felt against his, the way your scent lingered on his shirt, the way your eyes locked with his just a second longer than expected. And that's what makes you irresistible. Once you master this, the next step is even more powerful. Understanding the one thing every man's ego craves, and how giving it to him in just the right way makes him deeply addicted to your presence. 4. The ego stroke effect. If there's one thing that can make a man feel instantly drawn to you, loyal to you, and even addicted to your presence, it's the way you feed his ego, but in a way that feels effortless and authentic. Men, no matter how confident or successful, have a deep primal need to feel admired, respected, and valued. It's not about flattery or empty compliments. It's about understanding what makes him feel like a man and subtly reinforcing that. The moment you master this, you unlock a level of influence over him that most women never even realize exists. The biggest mistake women make is thinking that men don't need reassurance. We assume that because they act tough, independent, and in control, they don't crave validation. But the truth is, even the most powerful men have insecurities, and even the most self-assured men want to feel seen, appreciated, and admired. When you become the woman who recognizes and verbalizes his strengths, the woman who makes him feel like the best version of himself, you become irreplaceable in his life. But here's the secret. It's not just about what you say. It's about how and when you say it. If compliments feel forced, overused, or generic, they lose their power. A man doesn't just want to be told he's smart or strong. He wants to feel like you truly see what makes him different. Instead of saying, "You're so smart," try, "I love the way you think. It's different from anyone I've met." Instead of saying, "You're strong," try, "I feel so safe when I'm with you." These subtle shifts make your words feel personal, specific, and deeply impactful. The key is to tie your praise to his identity. When a man feels like you see something in him that no one else sees, he starts associating you with his confidence, his strength, and his worth. And when a man links his best self to you, he will never want to lose you. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Men aren't just drawn to compliments. They're drawn to a challenge. If you praise him too much or too easily, it loses its value. But when you make him work for your approval, just a little, he becomes hooked. This is why women who are hard to impress, yet deeply appreciative when they are impressed, create the most lasting impact on a man's mind. Think about it. If you tell a man he's amazing after the first 5 minutes of knowing him, he won't value it. But if you make him earn your admiration, if he feels like you're a woman who doesn't just give her approval to anyone, then when you finally do compliment him, it feels like the highest reward. And what happens when a man feels like your praise is valuable? He keeps chasing it. This is why some women, without even trying, have men who go out of their way to impress them, while others struggle to hold a man's interest. The difference is in how they balance admiration with challenge. The most irresistible women know how to make a man feel like a king, but only when he's earned it. And don't underestimate the power of body language when stroking a man's ego. Sometimes it's not what you say, but how you react. The way your eyes light up when he's telling a story, the subtle look of admiration when he does something impressive, the way you lean in slightly when he's talking about something he's passionate about. These unspoken signals create an emotional response in him far stronger than words alone. Now you might be wondering, does this mean I should just shower a man with compliments and hope he stays? Absolutely not. The real power comes from balancing appreciation with expectation. A man should feel like he has to keep being his best self to keep your admiration. If he starts feeling like he's already won you over completely, the chase dies. That's why the most captivating women are the ones who appreciate men without ever settling for less than they deserve. So here's your challenge. The next time you're with a man, observe him closely. Notice something unique about him, his way of thinking, his ambition, his leadership, his problem-solving skills. Then, instead of a generic compliment, acknowledge it in a way that makes him feel truly seen. Watch how his entire demeanor changes. Watch how he becomes more drawn to you, more attentive to you, and more eager to impress you. Men may never say it out loud, but they are addicted to the feeling of being admired, especially by a woman they respect. When you learn how to give a man that feeling while still keeping him on his toes, you create a connection that is almost impossible to break. And if you love this kind of insight, like this video and comment number 1 if you're starting to see relationships in a whole new way. Don't forget to subscribe, because trust me, what's coming next is even more powerful. 5. The fear of losing you. Nothing makes a man value a woman more than the possibility of losing her. It's a psychological truth. People don't truly appreciate something until they feel it slipping away. When it comes to relationships, this dynamic is even more powerful. A man can be deeply attracted to you, enjoy spending time with you, but if he feels like you are always there, always available, always within reach, his mind naturally starts to take you for granted. It's not because he doesn't care, but because human nature is wired to value scarcity. Think about the things in life that people obsess over: rare jewelry, exclusive clubs, once-in-a-lifetime experiences. It's not just because they're valuable, it's because they're not easily accessible. When something feels rare, people chase it harder. The same applies to men in relationships. If he feels like your presence in his life is guaranteed no matter what, his instinct to chase and pursue naturally starts to fade. But when he senses that he could lose you, that your time, attention, and energy are not limitless, he starts seeing you in a completely different light. This is where many women make a critical mistake. They believe that constantly proving their loyalty, availability, and devotion will make a man appreciate them more. In reality, it does the opposite. The more he feels like your presence is a given, the less urgency he feels to fight for you, cherish you, and prioritize you. It's why some women give everything to a man emotionally, physically, and mentally, only to find that he stops putting in effort over time. It's not that he stopped being interested, it's that he no longer feels the fear of losing you. So how do you subtly create this dynamic in a way that keeps a man invested without playing games? The key is self-sufficiency, confidence, and emotional discipline. The more you show that your happiness, social life, and personal fulfillment don't depend on him, the more he realizes he has to work to keep you in his life. A woman who has a full life outside of a man, her own ambitions, passions, friendships, and personal growth, is the kind of woman men chase relentlessly. One of the most powerful ways to trigger this fear of loss is through emotional unpredictability. If you are always too emotionally available, always responding instantly, always saying yes to everything, it creates a pattern where he feels too secure. Instead, shift the dynamic by being slightly less predictable. If he expects you to always answer his texts immediately, take your time sometimes. If he assumes you'll always say yes to last-minute plans, occasionally let him know you're busy. When he starts noticing that you're not always within reach, his mind starts racing. He wonders, what is she doing? Is she losing interest? Have I done something wrong? This slight discomfort reawakens his desire to win you over. Another crucial part of this is having high standards and enforcing them. A woman who is willing to walk away when she is not treated right commands more respect than a woman who tolerates anything just to keep a man around. Men don't respect women who accept the bare minimum. They admire and crave women who demand the best from them. When a man knows that you are not afraid to leave if you're not getting what you deserve, he naturally steps up his effort. This is why some women have men who worship them, while others struggle to get basic attention. It's not about being mean or manipulative. It's about knowing your worth and showing him that you will not settle for less. This concept also applies to how you handle conflict. If a man thinks that no matter what he does, ignoring your texts, canceling plans, being inconsistent, you will always be there waiting, he loses the urgency to correct his behavior. But if you are the kind of woman who, when disrespected, withdraws your energy and attention, he instantly feels the consequences of his actions. Men don't change when they feel comfortable. They change when they feel like they could lose something valuable. The ultimate test of this principle: your ability to walk away. Nothing makes a man value a woman more than the realization that she has the strength to leave if he doesn't treat her right. The moment he senses that you are not afraid to walk away, you become magnetic in his eyes. Why? Because men are competitive by nature, and they chase what they feel is just out of reach. If he believes that keeping you requires effort, consistency, and emotional investment, he will naturally step into that role. When a man truly fears losing you, he starts acting differently. He pays more attention, listens more carefully, and puts in more effort. Because in his mind, you are not like other women. You are a woman who is high value, self-sufficient, and not easily replaced. And that's the kind of woman who keeps a man forever captivated. Once you master this, the next step is even more powerful. How to create a deep emotional connection that makes a man feel like you are the only woman in the world for him. 6. Emotional bonding through shared secrets. There's something about secrets that creates an instant emotional connection. Think about it. Why do we feel so close to people with whom we share deep conversations? Why do some relationships feel intensely personal while others remain surface level? The answer lies in one simple truth. Emotional intimacy is built through vulnerability. When you understand how to use this to your advantage, you can make a man feel closer to you than anyone else in his life. Men don't typically open up the way women do. They've been conditioned to keep their emotions in check, to act strong, and to avoid appearing too vulnerable. But the moment a man starts sharing his thoughts, his fears, his past, or his dreams, he's doing something rare. And the woman who creates an environment where he feels safe enough to open up, that's the woman he becomes emotionally addicted to. But here's the key. This process works both ways. If you want a man to feel deeply connected to you, you have to be willing to let him into your world first. This doesn't mean spilling your entire life story on the first date. It means dropping hints of vulnerability in a way that invites him to do the same. Maybe you mention a childhood memory that shaped you, a fear you overcame, or a dream you've never told anyone about. When you reveal something personal, you trigger a psychological response. It makes him feel trusted, special, and chosen. Once he feels that, he starts seeing you as different from every other woman he's met. But not all secrets are created equal. If you share too much too soon, it can feel overwhelming. If you share things that are too emotionally heavy, it can feel like pressure. The magic is in sharing just enough to make him feel like he's getting a glimpse into the real you, a side that not everyone gets to see. That's what makes it powerful. The moment he realizes that he knows things about you that others don't, he starts to feel emotionally invested. He starts to feel like he has a special place in your life. And that's what keeps him coming back for more. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. The way you respond to his vulnerability determines how deeply he bonds with you. If he shares something personal and you react with judgment, indifference, or disinterest, he will shut down immediately. But if he shares something, maybe a fear, a mistake, or even a childhood dream, and you respond with understanding, warmth, and curiosity, he will start to see you as his emotional safe space. When a man associates you with safety, comfort, and emotional depth, he can't stay away. This technique is so powerful that it's used in psychology, business, and even interrogation tactics. Studies show that when two people exchange personal information, their level of trust and emotional connection skyrockets. It's why deep conversations often lead to unexpected attraction, and why couples who share private jokes, inside stories, and personal confessions often have the strongest bonds. But here's the real secret. You don't need to force deep conversations. The best way to build emotional intimacy is to let it happen naturally, through the right questions, the right moments, and the right reactions. Instead of asking generic things like, "How was your day?" ask questions that invite emotional depth. Try, "What's something you've never told anyone before?" Or, "What's a childhood dream you still think about?" Or, "What's one thing you wish people understood about you?" Questions like these make him pause, reflect, and open up in ways he's not used to. When he connects with you on that level, he starts seeing you as more than just a romantic partner. He sees you as someone he can't imagine his life without. But the most powerful thing is this: when you reach this level of emotional depth, you make it impossible for another woman to replace you. Because physical attraction is easy to find, but a true emotional connection, that's rare. So, if you're starting to see the power of emotional intimacy in attraction, like this video and comment number 1. If you've ever had a conversation that made you feel deeply connected to someone. And don't forget to subscribe, because next, we're talking about something even more irresistible: how to keep a man chasing you effortlessly. 7. The challenge factor. Men are wired to seek, pursue, and conquer. It's in their nature. From the time they were young, they've been conditioned to believe that anything worth having requires effort. Whether it's excelling in their career, achieving a fitness goal, or winning in sports, they thrive on the feeling of working towards something valuable. And when it comes to relationships, this instinct doesn't just disappear. It's just as strong, if not stronger. This is why women who are too easy to win over often find that a man's interest fades as quickly as it began. It's not because he's a bad person or because he doesn't appreciate her. It's because his brain doesn't register her as something to continuously pursue. When something feels too accessible, it loses it in perceived value. But when a man feels like he has to work to win your attention, your time, and your affection, he doesn't just stay interested, he becomes obsessed. Now let's be clear. Being a challenge does not mean playing games, acting disinterested, or purposely making things difficult. It's about creating a dynamic where he feels like he has to keep showing up as his best self to earn a place in your life. The moment he senses that you are not easily impressed, that your standards are high, and that you will not settle for anything less than what you deserve, his entire approach toward you changes. You become a prize, something rare and valuable, something he cannot afford to lose. One of the most effective ways to introduce the challenge factor is through selective availability. If you are always available, always the first to respond, always ready to adjust your schedule to accommodate him, he subconsciously starts assuming that you have nothing else going on in your life. But when you have your own priorities, your own passions, and your own life outside of him, he realizes that he has to work to fit into your world, not the other way around. This is why the most desirable women are the ones who have strong self-worth and refuse to revolve their life around a man. Another crucial element of keeping a man on his toes is setting boundaries and sticking to them. When a man sees that you have standards and expectations, and that you are not afraid to walk away from situations that don't align with them, he naturally respects you more. He sees you as someone who is high value, someone who won't tolerate inconsistency or half-hearted effort. And because of this, he steps up. Now think about the women that men seem to chase endlessly. These women aren't necessarily the most beautiful or the most charming, but they carry themselves in a way that makes men feel like they must continually earn their affection. They don't just give their time and energy freely. They make a man prove that he is worthy of it. And that is exactly why men never stop pursuing them. Another way to introduce challenge is through emotional unpredictability. If you're too predictable in your emotions, always saying yes, always agreeing, always reacting the same way, he begins to lose excitement. But when he doesn't always know what to expect, when there is a sense of mystery and intrigue, he remains engaged. This doesn't mean being difficult. It simply means that your reactions are not automatic and your attention is not guaranteed. One of the most powerful things you can do is not immediately reward a man for minimal effort. If he sends a basic text after days of silence, instead of instantly responding with excitement, let him feel the weight of his inconsistency. If he cancels a date last minute and expects to reschedule on his terms, let him see that your time is valuable and you don't just adjust for his convenience. When a man realizes that he cannot take you for granted, he adjusts his behavior. At the core of this, men don't just want a woman. They want to feel like they have earned her. It gives them a sense of purpose and a reason to invest emotionally and mentally. The moment he feels like he has already won you without putting in real effort, his instinct to keep trying diminishes. But the moment he feels like he has something to prove, that's when he gives you his absolute best. Once you understand this, you'll never have to chase a man again because he will always be the one chasing you.